Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Unitarian Universal Church of the Desert. My name is Bryna Blum. I am your worship associate this morning. Delighted as always to be up here in support of Reverend Ian. Before we begin, please take a moment to silence all electronic devices. Here, as we do every week, we acknowledge that we are gathered on the unceded lands of the Agua Caliente Band of the Cahuilla people. And we commit to grow in our understanding and relationship with this land and with the people who inhabited it and nurtured it before our arrival. In this congregation, where we strive to honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person, you are welcome, no matter your sexual orientation or gender identity, your age, your size, whether you're rich or poor. We welcome people of all races, religions, and cultures. We welcome you wherever you come from and whoever you love. We welcome all those who will learn and grow with us as we commit together to embrace the rich and beautiful diversity of the world. Our goal here is to build a community centered in justice, in compassion, and in love. We are glad you are with us this morning, whether you are here in the sanctuary or at home. We're very grateful for your presence. Thank you for being here with us this morning. If you want to learn more about us or our programming, please contact the office at admin@uucod.org or visit our website. And now please join me as Reverend Ian rings the Tibetan bowl and we listen to the wonderful Joel Baker play our music for centering to start our service.
Good morning again and welcome. I am the Reverend Ian Riddell and I have the honor and joy of serving this congregation as its minister. However you found us, however many times you've been here with us in person or online, welcome. We are a congregation grounded in our commitment to love and an evolving tradition that celebrates the richness and beauty of individual lives and commits to working together to weave a tapestry made stronger and more vibrant by our collaboration and by the sharing of our lives and our visions for a thriving, loving, and just future for all of life. We begin this morning with the words of the Reverend Karen Armina, my colleague and the minister of the James Reeb Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Madison, Wisconsin, my home congregation. Come in, my friends, and take a breath. Come bearing gifts or carrying burdens. Come wholehearted or brokenhearted. Come full or empty or anything in between. Here, in this space we made sacred, come, ready to offer what you can and find what you need and hold each other as we celebrate and grieve and grow in love and in wonder. Come in and let us worship together. We begin our service by singing Meditation on Breathing. The words will be on the screen, but I want to tell you a little bit about it. You've come to know that I'm going to teach you something when we sing our hymns. So, Joel, can you just give me that C? So there are two parts to this. There are three, but we'll only worry about two. There are two parts to this, one of which is a very straightforward drone. It goes like this. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out with me, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. So if you ever get lost, or ever you feel stressed out, or you just want to rest for a while, you can switch to that part, okay? The main part goes like this. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace when I breathe out. I breathe out love. So that's the way it is. So we're going to start. We're all going to sing the drone. All going to sing the drone, and then when it's time, I'll lead you into the melody. You can stay on the drone, switch to the melody, do whatever you want. Ready? Is it ready? Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. I breathe in peace. Breathe out. I breathe out love. Breathe in. I breathe in peace. Breathe out. I breathe out love. Breathe in. I breathe in peace. Breathe out. I breathe out love. Breathe in. I breathe in. I breathe in peace. Breathe out. I breathe out. I breathe out love. Breathe in. I breathe in. I breathe in peace. When I breathe out. I breathe out. I breathe out love. Everyone in the room. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out.
We should all be calmer now. Please join me for our chalice lighting. The words are on the screen behind me. In a time of uncertainty, when everything around us is changing constantly, each new day, new developments, rising numbers, changing guidelines, when the world we live in suddenly seems upside down and topsy-turvy, we light our chalice to remind ourselves of our grounding in our faith. And now Stuart will come forward to light our BIPOC candles. Please read along with me. We light these candles in solidarity with Black, Indigenous, and other people of color as we journey together towards spiritual wholeness. May we, as a beloved community, work to dismantle racism and all forms of oppression. May we live out our principles so that justice, dignity, and equity for all prevail.
for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it will all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play. One day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. It's not about win or lose, 'cause we all lose when they feed on the souls of the innocent. Blood-drenched pavement, keep on moving though the waters stay raging. And in this maze you can lose your way, your way. It can drive you crazy, but don't let it phase you. No way, no way. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it will all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play. One day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. One day this all will change. Treat people the same. Stop with the violence. Down with the hate. One day we'll all be free and proud to be under the same
I hesitate to speak after listening to that. When Reverend Ian announced that he was speaking this morning on Brené Brown's book, Rising Strong, I said, oh, I'm in. I just love Brené Brown. I had no idea how difficult that book is to get through. In that, I think I'm a lot like most of you these days, uncertain of the direction we're traveling. I thought this little poem from Willy Wonka pretty well describes what anxiety feels like to me and you. There's no earthly way of knowing which direction we are going. There's no knowing where we're rowing or which way the river's flowing. Is it raining? Is it snowing? Is it a hurricane a-blowing? Not a speck of light is showing, so the danger must be growing. Are the fires of hell a-glowing? Is the grisly reaper mowing? Yes, the dangers must be growing, for the rowers keep on rowing, and they're certainly not showing any sign of slowing. Walking into our stories can be very dangerous. But the process of regaining our footing in the midst of struggle is where our courage is tested and our values are forged. Our stories of struggle can be big ones, like the loss of a job or the end of a relationship, or smaller ones, like a conflict with a friend or colleague. Regardless of the magnitude or circumstance, the rising strong process is the same. We reckon with our emotions and get curious about what we're feeling. We rumble with our stories until we get to the place of truth. And we live this process every day until it becomes a practice and creates nothing short of a revolution in our lives. Rising strong after a fall is how we cultivate wholeheartedness. It's the process, Brené Brown writes, that teaches us the most about who we truly are. I know more of who I am from the reckoning and the rumbling I had to do when my knees were on the ground and I was looking up wondering, what's next? Until I read Rising Strong, I just didn't know what to call it.
Spirit of life, we are gathered here together in love, gathered here together in community, gathered here together in possibility and in hope. We bring with us sorrow and anger. We bring with us joy and trust. And so we rest in the love of this community. The world around us feels chaotic and dangerous. Our politics are disrupted. Our leaders not leaderful. And our hope is battered by what we see on the news, what we hear from our neighbors. And so we hold ourselves and this whole nation in our hearts as we work together to find a path forward, a path of possibility, of love, of trust, of justice, and of hope. And we bring together with us together today the ills and the joys of the wider world around us. Still and always we carry in our hearts those whose lives are cut short by violence and war, by greed and hatred and imperialism. We hold in our hearts the people of Gaza, people of the Congo, the people in so many parts of the world whose lives are threatened by the machine of war. May our leaders, may the leaders of those places realize that justice and possibility come through hope and love, through commitment to seeing each other as human, fully human. May we hold in our hearts the innocent lives lost to war. May we demand peace with every word from our leaders, from their leaders. May we find peace in our day in the face of this ongoing war. And so we come here to this place of coolness on a hot day, this place of hope in the face of despair, this place of trust in the face of anxiety. We gather and pool our hope, pool our trust, and rest in the embrace of love. I am open, and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift us up to the light of change. My friends, will you lift up your voices as we sing together, Spirit of Life, Fuente de Amor. The sound of your voices is healing, friends. I think, I was sitting there as Bryna finished her reflection, and I thought, well, she covered the book. The choir covered the inspiration, and Joel and our wonderful violin player covered the inspiration. What's my work to do? Well, here I am. So I have a couple of stories I want to share, and a little bit more about Brené Brown. I want to start with a couple of stories, as I said. One of them actually happened, we think, and one that was created in the mind of an author as part of telling the tale of a long life. The first story is of that long life and comes from a series of novels. The book I'm going to talk about comes at the midpoint in the series and presents a major shift and focus for the main character in the series as a whole. You don't need to know more than that, really. In her novel Memory, Lois McMaster-Bujold tells the story of Miles Vorkosigan, who is, up until this point, a young military officer who, through circumstance and his own foolish actions, has caused his career and his life to crash down around him in ruins. He seeks out a woman named Hara, who he'd met earlier in his career, whose own life had suffered disaster. And he tells her his story, whining a little bit, probably, perhaps seeking solace, perhaps seeking forgiveness. She listens and then replies to him, "Little man," he's a little person, A shorter person, sorry. Little man, my mother killed my daughter and was judged for it in front of all of the town. You think I don't know what public shame is or waste? Well, why do you think I'm telling you all of this? Miles said. Hara was silent for a long while. Then she said, you go on. You just go on. There's nothing more to it, and there's no trick to make it easier. You just go on. But what do you find on the other side, Miles asks, when you go on? She shrugged. Your life again? What else? Is that a promise? It's an inevitability. No trick, no choice. You just go on. The second story is a true one, as true stories can be, that changed the way I thought about a thing that I loved deeply. In my younger years, in high school and when I was at university, I ended every night lying in bed with the lights off with some soothing music on my cassette player. Yeah. Often something new age, like Kitaro's Silk Road or some Bach or some quiet choral music. One day a friend gave me this cassette that just said Jarrett, Cologne concert. For the first moment, I was hooked. Keith Jarrett is a legend in the jazz world, playing with Art Blakey and Miles Davis and leading his own combos and, of course, playing solo piano in many, many styles and genres. One of his most beloved works was the concert that he performed in Köln, in January of 1975, which was released as an album in November of 1975. This recording has gone on to become the best-selling solo piano album of all time. But if you'd been an observer in Cologne the hours leading up to that performance, which became that recording, you wouldn't have possibly imagined that the concert would even have happened at all. Because the venue for the concert was the Opera House, and they were in production of an opera, Jarrett's concert couldn't start till almost 11:30 p.m. Now, this was jazz, so, he and one of his friends, though, had decided to get to Cologne from the place where he'd performed the night before by driving for hours rather than flying. And so he arrived exhausted and in serious enough pain that he was wearing a back brace. And then there was the piano. The concert producer had contracted for there to be an excellent piano on stage for Jarrett to play. That did not turn out to be the case. The piano was completely out of tune. The upper and lower octaves were wrecked. The black notes in the middle of the piano didn't work, and the pedals were stuck. Jarrett refused to play it and threatened to not play the concert at all. And the promoter, who knew there was no way to cancel the concert and provide refunds to everyone who'd bought a ticket, worked hard to talk him into continuing. And they searched for a different piano, but to no avail. One of the wonderful things about this story is the producer, the concert promoter, was a 17-year-old woman. It's just, this story is fascinating. Eventually, the piano tuner and repairer was called in, and he set to work doing everything he could to make the piano acceptable to play. While he did that, Jarrett and the others went to a restaurant where the service was so slow they didn't even have their food yet before the concert was due to begin. So Jarrett, exhausted and hungry, decided again not to play. But he was finally convinced by the fact the sound technicians had already set up for the concert and the recording, and that he would just go ahead and at least have a recording of something. So at 11:30 or so, he sat down at the piano in front of a restless audience and started playing. Just a simple single melody at first, and then growing in waves and stops and starts into more than an hour of breathtaking improvisation. Now, Jarrett wasn't improvising on a tune that everybody already knew, like My Funny Valentine or Misty. He was improvising out of the air and his mind and his heart. Powerful music. If you listen carefully, though, and I'm going to invite you to go home and find this and listen. We can't play it here for copyright reasons, but it's out there. There will be links in the reading list. If you listen carefully, though, you'll hear, especially in the early parts of the performance, that he's not just playing what he might play at any other time on any other instrument. He is using the early parts of the improvisation to figure out the instrument he has under his hands, what it can do, what it can't do. What would happen if he pushed it in this way? What would happen if he didn't shy away from its limits but used them? What would happen if he didn't avoid the pedal that stuck but used it, sometimes percussively? Jarrett took the reality he was facing, a beat-up piano, a beat-up body, exhaustion, and frustration. He didn't ignore all those things and blithely push through, nor did he walk away and abandon the audience and the piano. He saw and heard clearly what he had to work with. He tested, he explored, he experimented. And then he made one of the most iconic musical recordings ever produced. Both of these stories, the real and the fictional, chaos and challenge turned into brilliant music, and personal and professional disaster meeting straightforward perseverance, both speak to me of the inevitability of the need to grapple with what is, with what has happened, and figure out a way through. Not over, not around, not by seeking to undo or by running away, but by facing reality head on and figuring out how to take what we have been given or which we have created for ourselves and make something new or find our true self as we grapple with it. This is the work that Brené Brown is calling us to in her book, Rising Strong. So Brown is a researcher, writer, who began to focus on shame, researching shame, and how it impacts our lives and our relationships. And then she branched out to think about perfectionism, about leadership, about the broad scope of emotions and how we live with them. She's really wonderful. She's not a fly-by-night internet influencer. She's a deeply grounded researcher. And in this book, she is exploring how we respond to failure and conflict, and failure in conflict. Through sharing the events of her own life and the life of her friends and colleagues and other people she encounters, she shows how the stories we tell ourselves about what is happening, the stories we tell ourselves about who we are, have a real and substantial impact on how we are able to manage the ups and downs of our lives and relationships. A theme that runs through all of Brené Brown's work is that unless we develop the attitudes and skills and self-love we need to be vulnerable to each other, we will stay stuck in the rut of hurt and wounding. When we feel vulnerable, we armor up. We pretend we're invincible, and we pretend we have the ability to try to at least to be perfect. But Brené Brown says hiding out, pretending, and armoring up against vulnerability are killing us, killing our spirits, our hopes, our potential, our creativity, our ability to lead, our love, our faith, and our joy. Bad things can happen to us. We can make colossal mistakes. We can hurt people really badly and be hurt by them, and these all have an impact on us. But she says, and I quote, "The most difficult part of our stories is what we bring to them, what we make up about who we are and how we are perceived by others. What makes the story so painful is what we tell ourselves about our own self-worth and our own value." There she is tying it back to shame again. So in this book, as Bryna told us, she describes a way through, a process to rise again after we fall. This is how she lays it out. These are mostly her words, not mine. The goal of the process is to rise from our falls, to overcome our mistakes and face hurt in a way that brings more wisdom and wholeheartedness into our lives. The first step is the reckoning, moving into our own story. We recognize our emotions and we get curious. We get curious about our feelings and how they connect with the way we think and behave. So we reckon with our story and our emotions. And then comes the rumble. The rumble. We own our story. We get honest about the stories we're making up about our struggle. And then we challenge those confabulations and assumptions, I love that word, confabulations, to determine what's truth, what's self-protection, and what needs to change if we want to lead more wholehearted lives. We rumble with things. And then she talks about the revolution. We write a new ending to our story based on the key learnings from our rumble, and use a new, braver story to change how we engage with the world and to ultimately transform the way we live, love, parent, and lead. The goal, she says, is to get honest about the stories we're making up about our struggles, to revisit, challenge, and reality check those narratives as we dig into topics like boundaries, shame, and blame, and resentment, and heartbreak, and generosity, and forgiveness. As I was getting ready for this sermon, as the universe will do, or the bots that look at what we're talking about online, last week a post came across my social media feed taken from the words of Dr. Thema Bryant, who is a minister, professor, author, psychologist, and 2023 president of the American Psychological Association. I tell you all of that because sometimes the things that come to us from social media are just made up out of the blue, and who knows where they come from. This comes from this source, this person. She says this: heal so that you can hear what's being said without the filter of your wound. Heal so you can hear what's being said without the filter of your wound. Now, of course, we do the work Bryna and I are talking about today to heal our own selves, to deal with our own struggles, to find ourselves again on the other side of challenges, to create beautiful things out of what we've experienced. But we do it for another reason as well. So we can be in relationship more honestly and more intentionally and more lovingly, so that we can see and know ourselves clearly enough to understand where our reactions to what's happening in the world, our reactions to what's happening in our relationships are coming from. Brené Brown, again, writes, "There are too many people today who, instead of feeling hurt, are acting out their hurt. Instead of acknowledging pain, they're inflicting pain on others. Rather than rising feeling disappointed, they're choosing to live disappointed." We don't see and acknowledge our own challenges and grief, when we don't see the limits of the instrument we've been given to play, we may not be skillful or loving to those we are interacting with, to those we're in relationship with. When we don't understand how deeply we are connected, when we don't understand where our perspectives are coming from, we may not be effective or healthy in the ways that we work together to build a better world or a beloved community. Beloved community like this one. This is part of the reason that this community, this congregation, has developed a right relation policy and procedure that grow out of our covenant with each other about how we envision living together in justice, kindness, and love. In our procedures, and you can find all of this on the website if you go to congregational documents, that'll all be there. Our procedure for ways to engage in managing conflict under our right relations policy, we invite participants into a practice of self-reflection. People are invited to reflect on our congregational covenant and the covenant of the other groups that we are part of. Remember that we're striving to live together in a covenantal, not a legalistic way. You're invited as part of your self-reflection to think about your own role in the situation at hand. To think about, why is this matter important to you? To examine your intent and consider the impact from the perspective of the other. And always own your issue. In other words, we're invited to take some time to understand where we're coming from, rather than just dive into dealing with conflict. Now, each year I invite your board of trustees to spend part of our time together reading and reflecting on a book that deals with leadership issues or ideas and practices that can help us all live more fully into sharing the leadership of this beloved community. This past year, we read together Reverend Teresa Cooley's book, Transforming Conflict, The Blessings of Congregational Turmoil. It was really meaningful and fascinating look at how we grapple with the inevitable conflicts of congregational life. At the end of the book, she provides a conflict processing worksheet which, like our right relations procedures, invites those who use it to spend time thinking about a conflict. What are the relationships of the people involved? What are your feelings? How does this affect you personally? To think about what common ground you might have with others involved in the conflict, and most importantly, given what we're talking about today, what experiences or situations from the past does this situation recall for you? So at one point over the last year, I experienced conflict with someone. I am definitely not going to share who it was with or what it was about. It doesn't actually matter. But what I will share is that when the conflict started, my body and my mind and my heart reacted very strongly. I felt it in my gut and in my breath. I wanted to run. I felt the tension in my jaw and my shoulders. And I found myself flashing back to some years-old conflict in another context and another situation. I mean, I felt in my body exactly how I'd felt back then. Now, as a minister, I am regularly involved with a clergy coach and with a therapist. It's one way I commit to staying healthy in our shared ministry and in my life outside of ministry. And so I'm always trying to work on understanding myself and my relationships and interactions better. And so I was fairly quickly able to engage in the reckoning to say to myself, wait, this is not that. It's a very different situation. And you've dealt with that old stuff, haven't you? How is that story telling you how to be now? Now, because I'd done some work on this, engaged in the rumble, owned the story of that old conflict, that old failure, I was able to see and acknowledge what was going on for me. I was able to settle and engage in the current situation, understanding where I was coming from and seeing clearly where my reactions might be coming from. Now, I'm not perfect. Not one of us is. But in that moment, and in the moments to follow, I was able to be a better minister, a better human in relationship, a better co-conspirator in figuring out a way through the conflict. Because I'd engaged myself in the rumble, I could come to the revolution and do things differently this time around. It's not all about win or lose, as our choir sang for us earlier, because we all lose every once in a while, all of us. Friends, we live in increasingly challenging times. So many of you have wondered aloud to me, I wonder myself, how are we going to get through all of this? This week has been hard for many of us. This week has been hard for lots of people, and life has been hard for a long time for many people. There is, of course, work to do in the wider world, work of justice and connection and love. But our ability to do that work, to engage in it in intentional and productive and loving ways, ways that nurture relationship and connection rather than perfection, ways that enable healing and not just more wounding. If we want to be able to do that, we have to know our own stories, grapple with our shame and fear and hurt, not to get rid of it, but to know its impact on us and our lives and our responses to challenges. Know all of this and face the world with love and vulnerability, learning better to trust and rely on each other and find a way through together to new possibilities. And as our choir said, show us what love can do. May it be so. Friends, will you join me, rise in body and spirit, as we sing together our closing hymn, Rising Green.
Good
This is the time for our congregational news. The worship team had its meeting Tuesday night and decided we want more of you to participate in our services. Would you like to light the chalice? Would you like to light the BIPOC candles? Would you like to sing or play the guitar or another instrument? Our communities are made up of so much talent and so many interests. We want to know you better. We want you to be included. To that end, we will have sheets moving forward on the round table in the foyer for you to sign, and let someone on the worship team, like myself or Joni, know. It will be so good for the congregation to learn more about you. From social justice. Hang on, I have props. Sue, these are the props. Thank you. Okay. UUCOD will again be participating in Galilee Center's school supply and backpack drive. All of July, we will be helping Galilee Center by donating backpacks and school supplies so East Valley families won't have to worry about their kids going back to school in the fall without the necessary items for a successful year. A shopping list of items is on the circle table for you to take with you. Bring them next Sunday when you come to church and put whatever you buy in the donation box. And in August, one reason to stay here in the summer heat, there will be 2 opportunities for you to volunteer at Galilee Center to fill backpacks and distribute them to the kids. More information and sign up is on the circle table in the lobby. You can also find all the information on last Friday's newsletter. Thank you for making learning less costly for our East Valley neighbors and children. Did I do good, Sue? Thank you. And now we have a special guest. Leslie, would you like to come forward?
Isn't she terrific? Come on, let's hear it for Bryna. Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Ian, for that, bringing us Brené, and we could take more of that. As a topic, I wrote down a couple of things. Rumble with newness, the concept of filtering how our wounds, the instrument we've been given to play. Wow, what if we just played our own stuff? And so grateful to our webmasters, wherever you are, and you AV people, so we can watch this again. Thank you, Joel. Keep coming back. The smell of paint. This is what really gave me permission to be up here. Those dollops that grace the apron, the glue, the laughter, the sparkles, the thread, the stitches, the creativity, the joy of more laughter. That's what you get when you join us the first Wednesday of every single month, right here. That's in 3 days. First Wednesday of the month. We call it Crafting Day because we make stuff. And we rarely know what'll be the result, thus the laughter. Bring your picnic, consider yourself invited, and then you fix a little picnic, your own beverage. Come, we meet here in the community room the first Wednesday of every month from 11 to 1.
She sent that to me yesterday, and I told her to come do it herself. Next Sunday is Food on the First. And if you have summer clothes that have outgrown you, I'm sure they would be welcome too. Finally, I want to thank everyone who had a part in today's service. Reverend Ian, Joel the piano man, the AV crew, the choir, the ushers and the greeters, and those who feed us afterwards. You're all greatly appreciated. Now please join me as we extinguish the flame. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
One more quick announcement, before we go. You know that our wonderful greeters who say good morning to us every time we come in, who hand us an order of service, who chat with us a little bit, get to know us a little bit better, who also take the collection on Sunday mornings to help us. What you may not know is that one of those ushers or greeters spends the entire service sitting out in the lobby. They can hear it through the speakers, but they send the service throughout the lobby, keeping an eye on the parking lot, making sure that we're safe, to pay attention, to let people in after the service has started, but to keep an eye on things and make sure that the building is staying safe for those of us who are here. The ushers and greeters would love more volunteers to help out with greeting, with ushering, but also with being a person in the lobby. Right now, it's often Randy or Tracy who just never get to come in because they're waiting out there to keep us safe. So please, if you feel like you could take one Sunday a month or one Sunday every couple of months and sign up to do that, you still get to hear everything, you still get to see people, but it helps us stay safe and it helps us share the weight of the work of the congregation. There are sign-up sheets out in the lobby, or can reach out to Randy or Tracy or LeGrand or anybody in the membership committee to ask about that. Brené Brown wrote, "Spirituality is recognizing and celebrating that we are all inextricably connected to one another by a power greater than all of us, whatever we name that power, and that our connection to that power and to one another is grounded in love and belonging. Practicing spirituality brings a sense of perspective, meaning, and purpose to our lives. As we move forward into the day and the week ahead, friends, as we struggle and rumble and reckon, may we nurture that connection, grounding our hearts in love for ourselves, for our kin, for our neighbors. Go in peace, dear ones, to love and serve the world."